Hi, I'm Gail with Southern Glance. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoy making possum pie because that's what we're going to make today. Now, if you like this video, please subscribe, hit that like button, and ring the bell to be notified when the next video comes out. Well, possum pie, whenever I grew up, we always called it possum pie. I'm not sure why, because there's no possums in it, there's no animals or anything. It's just a four-layered dessert cake that you look on it and it's pretending, maybe it's pretending to be something it's not. Anyway, it's a chocolate dessert. And so we're gonna first of all start with the first layer, and that's gonna be flour and butter and nuts. So I'm gonna measure out 1 cup of flour. Now the flour is very interesting because whenever you measure out the flour, you have to be very careful. Don't ever shake the flour, because if you do, you're going to get more flour than you need to in your cooking. So what I do is I kind of go ahead and layer put a lot of flour in there, and I'm making a mess, but I use a straw or any straight edge, and I just kind of scrape it off. And there I've got 1 cup flour, and I didn't shake it. Okay, next thing that we're going to put is melted butter. And this is 1 stick of melted butter. And I'm going to scrape that. And then we're going to just stir it. Now this is just 1, 1, and 1. So you've got 1 cup of flour, 1 stick of butter, and it's melted. And then 1 cup of nuts. And you can use walnuts, you can use pecans, you can use whatever you want. You can put them in, cut them in small pieces, you can cut them in large chunks. This is basically whatever you want. But if you see, I'm just going to mix this flour in the butter right now. And you don't have to mix it too much, just enough to get that butter and the flour mixed together. And now I'm going to go ahead and put my nuts in there. These are walnuts, but now notice that it's over 1 cup because walnuts and pecans, they just taste better. So I put a little bit extra in there. Now we're going to just go ahead, oh, I forgot to tell you. Go ahead and set your oven to 350 degrees and just let it preheat. But we're going to stir this together. And you don't have to stir it very long. Now for my walnuts, I left them in kind of sort of big chunks, but not too terribly big, but a little bit big. I didn't put them in really small little pieces because I kind of like the chunkiness of it. But like I said, you choose whatever you want and then just go accordingly. All right, so this is, whoops, I just made another mess. So that's easily cleaned. Okay, so now we're going to take our dish. This is just a 9 by 13 pan. And we're going to spray it just a little bit with cooking spray. I just happen to use extra virgin olive oil. It doesn't matter, whatever you choose. And I'm just spraying the bottom of it. Okay. Now we're going to dump this flour, butter, and walnut or pecan mixture. And we're going to put it right in here. And then we're going to make sure, now I've already cleaned my hands, make sure you've got really good clean hands because whenever you cook, you really need that. I wash mine a lot while I'm cooking because I want to be nice and clean. And I try not to touch things, but sometimes you just have to touch. And this is one of those times you just have to touch. So first of all, I'm going to kind of spread it out with my spatula so I don't get my hands as much in there as I need to. But we're going to pat it down. Okay, I think it's about ready for hands now. And we're going to just pat it all over the place so that it goes from side to side. And then after we get through, now if you notice that there's some areas that might not have as many walnuts, or you have a clump of walnuts in areas, just go ahead and put those walnuts and put them where they need to be so that they're kind of evenly spaced out. But it really doesn't matter too terribly much as long as it's just patted down and kind of in a single layer. Because then we're going to cook it at 350 degrees for about 15 minutes. Just until very, very lightly brown. I wouldn't cook it too much more than that because then you get it kind of too done. But this is looking good. You don't have to have it all over the place. It does not have to be perfect. The next layers you try and work really hard about it, but I think this is pretty good. Let's put that walnut over here. Okay. So this is kind of what mine looks like. And you can see there's still clumps of walnuts every other place, some places. We're going to stick it in the oven for 350 degrees for 15 minutes. Whoops. Okay, so it's going for 15 minutes. Now, after it cooks, make sure you let it cool because we're going to put some cool things on it like cream cheese and other stuff. So it really needs to be cooled. Now here's the magic. Voila! It's already out of the oven. Actually, I made this one in advance, kind of like the people in the TV show. All right, so we're going to use this and we're going to make our next layer. This has already been in the oven. It's the same thing that I told you. It had 1 cup of flour, 1 stick of butter, and 1 heaping cup of walnuts. And now we're going to go ahead and put our cream cheese and confectioner sugar on there. Okay, let me get the mixer. This is a heavy mixer. We're going to plug it in. And we're going to put in, over here, I've already, this is 1/8 ounce block of cream cheese. Now, if you have a microwave, you can microwave it to make it soften. I did soften it just so that it would mix up a little bit better. Sometimes I don't do that, and sometimes I do. Okay, there's that. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and put in, we're going to cream that, get it going, and it's going to take just a few, because it's already softened, it's going to take just a few minutes, not very much. And see, it's getting creamier. It's not quite where we need to have it. So we're going to keep on creaming. Okay, here we go again. And I'm just creaming on the fastest speed. That's probably about creamy enough. I'll show you what it looks like. Let me pull this out. So it's not hard to scrape. It's just very creamy and it kind of shakes off. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and dump in 2 cups of powdered sugar. I didn't heat this up. I'm just going to put it in there. Now, whenever we beat this, it's really important not to use the fastest speed at first, because if you do, you're going to have powdered sugar everywhere. So we're going to beat it at the lowest speed until it gets mixed in, and then we're going to go to the highest speed and let it beat just for a few minutes. It's probably maybe 2 minutes. It's not very long at all. Okay. Here we go. Low speed. You don't want that powdered sugar to sling out. I'm going to stir it. I'm going to try to let you see what it looks like every time I stop it. See, it's not quite mixed in there yet. So we need to keep on mixing it until it's all mixed in, and then we'll switch it to the high speed. But I do want to scrape the bowl every so often just to make sure that it's doing what it should be doing. Okay, let's put that back on there. And let's get it going again. And here we go. Slow speed. Okay, I'm going to stir it one more time, and then we're going to go to fast because it's all kind of mixed in, but we really want to have those flavors all together. So that'll probably, I would say maybe 2 minutes. Okay, and we're going to go on fast speed. Okay, it's been about 2 minutes, and I think it's ready to go on top of the flour mixture. And this is part of what I think just makes this dessert so yummy. We're going to just go ahead and scrape this right on top of this. Now, whenever we get through with this, this is going to go straight over to our neighbors, Kevin and Connie, and I think they know it's coming, but I'm not sure whether they do or not. They might not know it's coming today. So maybe it'll be a surprise for them. But I hope they like it. Okay, so now I'm going to move this mixer away just so to give us a little bit more room. And then we're going to put this and layer this right on top of this other one. Okay, you ready? So here we go. And we're going to kind of spread it over as we're putting it on. We're just going to kind of, we don't want to have it just in one clump because then it's a little bit harder to spread. So we're kind of layering it around. And then we're going to spread it side to side. Cream cheese. Here's another thing that I like making. If you have this icing, or the cream cheese and the cream cheese and the sugar, then you can also make crepes. Make your crepes and make this as the cream cheese that goes inside, and put strawberries on top of it or blueberries on top of it, and you've got a fantastic dessert again. So we might have to do that for one of these videos. Well, we're almost there. We don't have everything out yet. We're getting there. Okay. All right, so now we're going to just kind of spread this, and we're going to be very careful with it because sometimes this crust and the flour and the butter and the walnuts, sometimes it can pop up with this cream cheese mixture. So we're just going to be kind of careful. but we're going kind of all the way, almost to the edge. You don't have to go all the way to the edge, but we want to go close to the edge. We're not going to be too particular, but with the next layer we're going to be. And it's just up to you. You can do whatever you want because it's your dessert. But this is really good. So see how we're just kind of going? I think I am going to go all the way to the edge with this. And I had a little bit of the crust that popped up. We just kind of put it back down, and it's okay. See how it looks? You can still see the crust from it. And we've just got this right over here left to do. And then we're ready for our third layer. And the third layer doesn't take nearly as long. We're actually over halfway through with this. Okay, there's that layer. Now wash your hands again, because like I said, good cooks always wash their hands in between times. Okay, now we're ready for the third layer. The third layer is going to be milk. So this is 2 cups of milk, and it's 2 packages, the small packages of instant chocolate pudding. You can get the fudge chocolate, you can get whatever chocolate that you like. This is instant. Do not get the stuff that, if it doesn't say instant, don't get it. Because if you do, you'll probably have a runny mess. Oh, and let me get the whisk. Okay, and we're just going to whisk this just very carefully, because it won't take very long. You want to whisk it so that it kind of forms a little pudding and gets a little bit thicker, but not too terribly much. And I think just by whisking it, it's not going to be really perfect, but I think it serves what we want it to do for here. And see, it's already begun coming just like a pudding. See if you can see that. Now we've got it all kind of mixed together. We're just going to give it some more whisk, get it kind of smooth, and we're ready. So that didn't take long at all. Just get this spatula good. Okay, we're going to do this kind of like the cream cheese, and we're going to put it kind of just layer it on there and then smooth it out. Now here's what I do. The recipe calls for 2 cups. I probably put in about 2 cups and 1 tablespoon, or 2 cups and 2 tablespoons. Because I don't want the chocolate so thick that it just is glumpy. I want it so that you can at least smooth it a little bit. So whenever you're doing that, just add just a little bit more milk, but not much. And this we're going to put all the way to the side. We're just being very careful. And then this is the third layer. This actually, I should say that this is 5 layers because it has a top layer of nuts on it, which you can put also. Oh, also if you're allergic to nuts, just don't put the nuts in. You don't have to have that. You can just do everything except omit the nuts. Okay, this is almost done. But see how good that looks? And it tastes so delicious. And the other good thing about this, you don't have to wait to have it refrigerated. You can just fix it and serve it. When you're talking about fresh, it is fresh. So we're not even going to refrigerate it before we take it over to our neighbors. We're just going to take it to them. Okay, so there's the chocolate. We're going to go ahead and put some Cool Whip on top of it. Let me wash this real quick. And I want that dried. I don't want any part of water on there at all. Okay. Now the Cool Whip, the recipe calls for 8 ounces, but I have found that with 8 ounces, it's not quite enough. So I don't use quite enough. I use probably 12 ounces. about the Cool Whip, you do need to get the Cool Whip, and you need to think about what you're doing with the Cool Whip, because you'll find it in the frozen section of the grocery store. And if you get it and you're going to make the whoops, time out just to get this. And we're going to turn off the oven. And that's going to be made into another one that I'm going to probably take up there to work. Okay, so anyway, like I was saying, back to the Cool Whip. When you buy the Cool Whip, you're going to find it in the frozen section, but you need to think ahead, because Cool Whip takes at least about 4 hours to thaw out. And unfortunately, I didn't have about 4 hours. So what I'm doing is I'm scraping the sides of this, and I'm just kind of getting the sides of it, and then I think that'll be good enough, because the sides will be will thaw out before the middle part of it. So doesn't that look good? So you can kind of tell that that's still not quite thawed out. We're going to make it work though. So you just kind of make everything work with what you want. But you want to be kind of careful. Whenever I cook, I try to be gentle with things. You're not trying to be rough. Food is not a rough thing to fool with. It's just a gentle thing. So you want to just make it appealing, and you want everything to be nice and fresh. So if I have things in the house that I haven't used for a while, I check the expiration date, but I will throw them out and I'll get fresh things so that it will be nice and fresh, because that's one of the keys to being a really good cook. Have things fresh. Okay, I think that's about, see how that looks? And then we're going to top this off. Now we have 4 layers on our possum pie. Now we're going for the last layer. And this is the nuts. So we're just going to make it kind of pretty. And I've got walnuts up here. I'm just going to chop those very fast. And I'm not going to chop them into really tiny pieces, but I don't want them in big chunks either, because that doesn't look so good. I do want some little slivers, because that even looks really cool. Just make sure you don't get your fingers underneath the knife when you do that. I'm not a professional with knives or anything, so I know these chefs can really cut these walnuts and nuts and foods a lot faster than I can. But that's okay. We do things the way that we can, and that works for us. Okay. So now I think I've got this just about the way that I want. Here's one I want. Okay, you get the picture? Now we're going to put this right on top, and we're going to kind of sprinkle it all over. And we want to even have those little slivers on here too, because you want different sizes. I just think it looks better. It looks more artistic. It just has a better appeal to it. But boy, doesn't that look good. And so after I get about this much done, oh, the other thing I forgot to tell you, whenever you're dealing with nuts, always, always, always look for shells, because nuts will have shells in them almost all the time. Okay, now I'm coming down to here. I'm just going to pat this and just kind of put the rest of this on. There. And this is possum pie. My mom says she really likes those possums. Thanks for watching.